Welcome back, watch people. Something completely and utterly very different today. Now, as everyone knows, of course, I am a big watch man and a big watch fan, but I have other interests outside of watches, and two of those interests are guns and knives. Not such a popular hobby necessarily in the United Kingdom, but this is a video that I'm sure my viewers in the United States will enjoy. Now look, there is a very big difference between the perception of guns and knives, the difference between the people of the US and the UK. The people in the UK will look upon guns and knives strictly as weapons. In the United States, they're recognised for more of what they are: tools, works of art in many cases, and collectibles. But it is a somewhat unusual hobby in the United Kingdom. But let's get into it. Let me show you a few bits and pieces. I look upon knives as tools, as I've already said, and I've got loads that are in pouches here, and in fact my knife collection over the last few years has been dramatically decreased. At one time I had about 300 knives, including some very expensive ones, Sebenzas, custom knives, but I sold most of them a while back when I just decided to have a bit of a clear out. I've always been a big Spyderco fan. Can't actually remember the names of all of these off the top of my head. It's such a long time that I've even had them out their pouches, out the safe. But these are all, just to make it very clear for my viewers in the United Kingdom, these are all illegal to carry. You cannot carry these knives in public. You can have them legally at your home, and I always advise people to keep them locked away safely in a safe somewhere. There's another little Spyderco. These are really handy knives for unboxings and just general use around the house. I mean, I do all sorts with these. Peel fruit, use them as tools. Some I use, some I just keep you know, in first class condition. This is another Spyderco with an unusual blade. Let's have a look. There's another Spyderco there. I actually had one of these engraved once, beautifully engraved, and I bloody lost the thing, absolutely gutted. But these are relatively inexpensive. You know, they're sort of anywhere up to 100, 150 quid. Some are less, some a little bit more. But love Spyderco, always been a big fan. This one is actually got a custom scale on it. This is a Spyderco paramilitary with a black blade. Great name, Spyderco paramilitary. I've got another one of these as well here, with a custom brass handle. Really nice knives. Again, great for everyday chores around the house, and often in your job. This one's a little bit bigger. This is the Spyderco military, with like a khaki military style handle. I'm losing my knack there, flicking them out. Haven't played with these for ages. Lovely knife, and again, not overly expensive. What else have we got here? So this is an unusual piece. This is something that is designed to clip onto your belt, and it has a thumb or a finger hole there, so it can be held like this. Great for cutting boxes, opening boxes, doing little jobs. Really nice knife. Have to be a little bit careful how you handle this, because it does have like a double edge, top and bottom. Again, a great little tool. This knife is a Randall made knife. These are very much sought after, and these are quite expensive. These were used, I think, exclusively at one stage by the United States Marines. This is actually a combat knife with a micarta handle. They do have like a brass piece here that does tend to corrode, but that's all part of its character. Now this actually, I don't know how much this knife is worth, but it's probably I don't know, around about the £500 mark. It's an expensive knife, that one. And that's a Randall made knife, exclusively handmade in Orlando in Florida. Highly collectible, especially out there in the United States. Let's have a look, what have I got in this one? Okay, so another Spyderco. Now this is again got a black blade, nice little knife. This one's not even worn in, so quite hard to flick out. We've got an Almar knife. This is a flipper. It's not a flick knife, it's a flipper, which means you can do that with it. So it closes like that, and then you can just flip it out like that. Another great little knife. Really like the way that's made. Now this knife is a prototype, and it was given to me by the guy that actually made this knife. This knife was later adopted by Spyderco. So this is one of the first ever prototypes of this particular knife, and I can't for the life of me remember what it's called. But it's like a Persian style blade. Really nice knife, and this knife is actually probably quite valuable. I guess I'd say probably to the right collector, maybe £400 or £500, maybe more, because it is a one-off handmade prototype by the guy that designed this knife for Spyderco, who was a customer of mine when I had my shop, and he was a big watch guy himself. Let's have a look in the last pouch before we move finally onto the guns. Now CRKT is a brand that I would recommend for anyone that wants to buy a nice knife but doesn't really want to spend a lot of money. These are a couple of little beauties. That's an unusual little piece, really like that. Let's have a look, is the name of it on the blade? Yeah, this one is called the Chehalem, and this is made by CRKT. I think that's Columbia River Knife and Tool, if I remember rightly. And then we have another nice little short blade here. Really nice little thing, again ideal for around the house, cutting boxes, etc. Great little tool knife. This is by, let's have a look, who is this one by? This is a Tanto blade. And I can't even actually see who made this one. No, but again, really nice little knife. Love the Tanto blade. And yeah, just love the way that is made, that particular knife. Now this knife has a lot of history. I'll tell you about that knife in a minute. This is another unusual CRKT knife, which is a really unusual design. Another knife that is, you know, really pretty, really unusual, and it opens and closes in quite an unusual way. So you lift the top of that up to get it back in. But a really nice little piece. I'm well out of practice with opening and closing this stuff, blimey. This is another lovely thing. This is made by Lion Steel, which is like an Italian knife maker. Again, fairly expensive knife, can't remember how much it was, but you know, not inexpensive. Beautiful thing. And again, this is a flipper. You see that bit on the top there? You can flip it like that and it opens. Perfectly legal to own in the UK, but again, I reiterate, not legal to carry around on your person. So if you are thinking of collecting knives, please do not break the law. Please make sure that you adhere to the laws in whichever country you are in. Always handle them carefully, and of course make sure you keep them away from any children. Now this knife is one of my favourites of all time. This is an Almar knife. It's a little bit like what you might call like a stiletto knife, if you like. Blade is about, what, 3.5 inches long, I guess. And this knife does have a bit of history. A good friend of mine who served in the armed forces carried this knife on active service, serving duty with whilst he was in Iraq, and he gave it to me as a gift. He didn't actually ever use the knife. It never came out of his pocket whilst he was in Iraq, so the knife still remains actually in like brand new condition. Amazing. And I actually love that knife. Of all the knives that I have, this is one knife that I would never sell, for sentimental reasons mostly, but I also like the knife very much. It's a lovely thing. Final two, well, these are my zombie apocalypse knives. Just bought these for a bit of fun. Again, they're not inexpensive knives. The first one to come out of the sheath is a Bastinelli. This is a beautiful piece, very ergonomic. You can see it there, fits in the hand, absolutely gorgeous, lovely knife. And the second one is a bit of a giant. This is made by Tops Knives. It's called a Tops Eagle Delta class. Look at the way that is made. Look at the thickness of it. Cracking piece of kit. And this you would use when you're out camping, hunting, whatever you do. Mostly a camper's knife, but I guess a lot of you guys will call it a zombie apocalypse knife. But guys, again, it's a tool, not a weapon. You need to get that into that mindset and stop thinking about knives as weapons and think about them more for what they are, and that is tools. Right, let's move on to some of the guns. Right, on to some of the guns I own. Now, sorry to disappoint you guys out there in the United States, but our gun laws are very, very strict here in the UK indeed. Now, I do own some shotguns and I will show you them later on in the video, but the most common sort of guns that we own here in the UK are air rifles, and we use them for target shooting, for hunting. Personally, I'm not a hunter. I only ever use my guns for target shooting and my shotguns for clay pigeon shooting, but nonetheless they are a whole heap of fun in the right hands. Now, one of my favourite little guns that I use is a Viroc HW100 bullpup. This is an amazing little gun, and I have a red dot scope on top that I actually bought whilst I was in the United States. This is extremely quiet, and you can drive in tacks with this thing. It is so accurate. An unbelievable piece of kit, and of all the guns I'm going to show you, I would say that Viroc are among my favourites. Another Viroc that I have, one of my very favourites, is this quite rare laminate stock. This is also a HW100, a different variety, but this has a laminate stock with an adjustable cheek piece, nice scope, with a silencer. Again, great piece of kit, a great working tool if you're a pest controller, or if you're a target shooter. Now, this is in 20 caliber, which is quite rare. Normally it's 177 or 22, but this is a 20 caliber rifle. I think new today this would probably cost you, if you can find one, I'm not really sure, but in excess of £1,000, and the bullpup I think would be probably, I don't know, £700-800. I honestly don't know. If any of these interest you, you'd have to have a look on the Viroc website and check them out for yourselves. But great for back garden fun. You do need some room, and you definitely need an ultra safe backdrop, somewhere where that, you know, any stray pellets are going to find their way into a safe environment. Always be aware of over penetration, and always be aware of where you're shooting, and the fact that you must not use these anywhere in public, and you must take all the safety precautions necessary to make sure that nobody is ever hurt, or nobody ever gets upset or distressed by the fact that you are using them. But the thing is with this stuff, it is super quiet, super quiet. There's nothing actually in this gun, but let me fire one off, and this will actually be noisier, a whole lot noisier than when there's actually a pellet in the gun. Now, that may have sounded reasonably loud on the mic, but trust me when I tell you, when you're outside and it dissipates into the air, you can barely hear these things go off. Now, we're sticking with the Viroc scene for the moment. I do have guns from other manufacturers, but this is another HW100. A great fan of that particular model, and this is again a different caliber from the last gun that I showed you. I hope you can see and hear me still okay, because I'm hiding the mic now. But a great setup. This is again for hunting or target shooting. I will reiterate that I don't hunt. That's everyone's own personal moral decision. If someone does, I don't blame them. I don't mind. It's not my place to have an opinion on that particularly. Just for myself, I don't enjoy killing anything, but I do enjoy target shooting. So that's that one out of the way. That's actually a 2.2 caliber. The laminate stock that I just showed you a minute ago was I can't even remember how to shut this down. There you go. Was a 20 caliber. So that one is a slightly larger pellet. This one is again another HW100. So essentially the same gun, but just a different stock. And this one is a 177. So the difference between the 177, the 20 caliber, and the 2.2 is the 177 is the smallest pellet, and that will shoot with a flatter trajectory. So as it leaves the end of the barrel, its journey from A to B is quite flat. The 20 caliber is a little bit bigger in pellet size, and its journey from the barrel to its target is a little bit more curved. It will go up and then dip, and the 2.2 caliber, which is the biggest of those three, will leave the barrel and it will go up, come back down and hit its point of aim. So the smaller the pellet, the flatter the trajectory that it travels when you're firing it. But again, two great pieces of kit. Again, cost, I'm not sure, I'm not up to date, but these are hundreds of pounds, multiple hundreds of pounds, up towards the £1,000 mark in many cases. And just as important as the gun itself is the quality of scope that you put on it. I actually own guns where the scope costs more than the actual rifle. It's a bit like a camera, right? It's only as good as the lens that you put on it. But again, great bits of kit, fabulous for back garden plinking. I mean, you can literally shoot the tops off match heads at like 30-40 yards with these things. They are unbelievably accurate. So now a little bit of a blast from the past. Now, of all the guns that I own, this little break barrel 177 Viroc air rifle really takes me back. It's a HW30 model, and this works by breaking the barrel. You cock it, load it, and then of course you fire it. Now this gun is not particularly expensive at all, but the reason I have it in my collection is because it's virtually the same as the first air rifle that I was ever lucky enough to own, and they've given me so many hours of pleasure over the years. I remember when I was a kid, probably about 5-6 years old, I used to go over to see my auntie, who used to have a Freeman's catalogue, if any of you are old enough to remember the Freeman's catalogue. And they had a selection of guns in there, and I was obsessed with these air rifles, and I was on and on and on to my dad, would he buy me an air rifle? And eventually, bless him, he gave in, bought me a little 177. It was actually a Webley that he bought me, but that gun is really no longer in existence. Not like this, almost replicates what my dad bought me back when I was probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old, and first fell in love with this sort of gun. And I used to spend hours in the back garden shooting, picking out blades of grass with one of these guns, and had hours and hours and hours of fun. And thankfully my dad was very good with this sort of thing. He taught me right from the very start, how to respect something like this and how to respect everyone around you when you are using something like this. Now, a modern version adaptation of something like that, this is what is it, this model called? I can't even remember, to be fair. But this, again, is a brake barrel. This is an underlever. Again, it is a single shot, laminate stock. This is a hugely accurate gun. I mean ridiculously accurate, especially with a decent scope like this on it. You would not believe what you can hit at certain distances. You can get right out to 40, even 50 yards with something like this. You're going to have to be a good shot, and it's going to have to be pretty still conditions, no wind, because the wind will take the pellet. But a gun like this, again, give you hours and hours of fun, a real bit of quality. This is a gun that you could buy and you could hand it down to your children and your grandchildren, and it will still be working almost as good as the day it was made. German technology, you just can't beat it. So getting on to one of the more fancy air rifles that I have. This is an M3 FX Impact. This is a Swedish made air rifle. You fill the bottle up with air from a diver's bowl, gives you about 500 or 600 shots. This has a PARD night vision on this. You can go out in the complete darkness, put up a target and hit it so extremely accurately. Again, I mean, this is a very light and quite an expensive gun. I think this gun will probably cost you, in fact this setup that you're looking at now would probably cost you close to £2,000 from memory. I might be wrong, I might be a bit out, I'm not entirely sure. But it's close to £2 I would think to put this setup together. Great bit of kit, and trust me, there's not much that you can't hit when you're using a piece of quality like that. And that's a Swedish gun, so Swedish and German guns predominantly at the moment, but of course us British, we also make a very good air rifle indeed. And one of my favourite British air rifles is the good old-fashioned Daystate Huntsman Regal. This is a 177 caliber, extremely accurate. Again, this is another gun that you can literally drive in nails into wood. I mean, it's extremely accurate, and I like this gun so much that I actually have two. I have it also in a 2.5 caliber, which again is quite a rare caliber to have. It's a very, very big pellet, the biggest of all the air rifle pellets that we have here in the UK, at least, that are not firearms rated air rifles. These are all UK legal air rifles under 12 foot-pounds, which is going to seem ridiculously unpowerful to our American viewers and friends, but I'm afraid that's what we're guided to with the law here. But trust me when I tell you, 12 foot-pounds, if you're a good shot, it will do very, very many jobs indeed. As I say, this is a 2.5 caliber. It's a big pellet, and the trajectory is awful. It comes out the barrel and literally goes like this. You know, you've got to be a good shot with this thing. These guns, 2.5 caliber like this, would really be best off being used for short range pest control, heavy hitting pest control. And it's not a gun, frankly, that I've really ever used. I mean, I bought it just so that I could say that I have one, but again, they're not cheap. These guns are about, I think, almost £1 a piece without the glass, without the scopes. Right, let's get on to some of the more sexy stuff, the real firearms. Now, these custom shotguns have always been a big passion of mine. This is a 1979 410 shotgun made by Browning. It is a custom Browning. I don't know how well you can see that, but it has some beautiful engraving. This is a side plate over and under shotgun with some beautiful Turkish walnut, lovely wood. The wood on these are very, very important indeed. I don't know if you can see that, but the lever at the top is a little duck's head. Absolutely beautiful piece of kit. Now, this gun today, believe it or not, will be valued at around £20,000. It is quite a rare gun indeed, particularly here in the UK. You probably pick it up for about maybe $14,000, $15,000 in the United States because there are more of them. But a genuine 1975 custom Browning in 410 gauge is actually quite a rare gun. Now this little beauty has actually never had a shot put through it. I bought this about 10 years ago. It's a 28 gauge, 28 bore, so another smaller shotgun caliber. Again, over and under, again fully checked and unloaded. Comes from the Belgium custom shop. Again, this is a quite a rare gun, 28 bore, original custom Browning. Value on this one somewhere between, I guess around £13,000 these days. But again, a beautiful piece of workmanship, a work of art as much as a firearm. Now this one is a little bit more primitive and probably a lot more recognisable. It is a 12 gauge pump action shotgun in like a marine steel finish. A bit of fun, you know, look, you can put your spare cartridges on the side there. Not so great when you're clay pigeon shooting, because when you take aim between each shot you have to load it again, so not actually ideal, but a great gun for going out with your mates on the clay pigeon range and having a little bit of fun. They call this a hooligan gun, and I guess that's pretty much what it is, but nonetheless, like I said, a whole heap of fun to use if you've got the license. And of course I'm fully licensed to own these firearms and keep them at my home. And lastly for today is the only shotgun that I actually use as a tool, if you like. This is the gun that I take clay pigeon shooting when I manage to get out, which is not very often these days if I can get it out of the wrapper. So there's the stock. This is what you would call a sporting gun. A sporting shotgun has it's three-piece, so you've got lock, stock and barrel. A lot of you would have heard that expression before. And this is, again, I mean, you tend to find in the gun world that people are either a fan of Browning or Beretta. And I've always really been a Browning man myself. It is such a long time since I've taken any of these guns apart. There you go, at last. So fully unloaded, everything is always checked and unloaded. So this is a Browning B725, not a particularly expensive gun. I don't know what these are new now. I really have to hazard a guess. I think maybe about £1,800. I'm not sure. Anybody out there that has bought something like this recently will be a better judge than I, but 32-inch barrels, a long barrel, which for me always gives me a better result on the clay pigeon circuit. So that's it, guys. That is my gun and knife collection. Let me know what you think. Are you someone that is really strictly anti-gun and anti-knife collecting? If you are, I get it. My argument to that will be it's because you've been reading the wrong news articles. There are, I believe, over 500,000 licensed shotgun holders in the United Kingdom, and you won't remember the last time that any one of them committed a crime of any sort. That's because in the UK, at least, to own the license to own one of these things and keep it at your place of residence, at your home, you have to have the squeakiest of clean criminal record, i.e. no criminal record whatsoever. Even a speeding offence can be the cause of you losing your licence to own these things. So if you know anyone with a shotgun licence or a firearms certificate in the UK, you can pretty much sure that that person has always been, in fact you can guarantee that that person has a clean criminal record and has been proven to have a good character, because you also have to supply documentation from your doctor as well that tells the licensing officer that you have no mental health issues, no problems, no background problems, That's without the criminal background checks as well. Right, something completely different today. If you enjoyed it, I really appreciate a thumbs up. Let me know what you think, and if you're a gun or a knife collector, let me know in the comment section below what you collect, what you like, what you buy. Thanks for watching. As always, I appreciate it. We'll speak again soon.
Are you looking to sell your luxury watch, but want a smooth and easy transaction? With well over a decade's worth of experience, here at AJ Chrono, we're highly respected and internationally recognized within the industry. Selling your watch couldn't be easier. Simply fill out the details of your watch on our website and receive an immediate valuation. With our secure and insured collection service, we make the whole process safe and simple from start to finish. You can of course also come and drop the watch to us in store. Once we receive and inspect your watch, payment will be made instantly into your bank account. For a peace of mind, please check out our flawless 5-star reviews on Google. We look forward to hearing from you soon.